Hi everyone, my name is Bryanna and I'm the director of social media here at BioPro Armour. And I'm back here today with Dr. Warren, and we're doing another episode of our Ask the Vet series. Um, Ask the Vet is essentially a weekly video call where we discuss different veterinary topics or equine health topics, as well as questions relating to BioPro Armour itself. And we encourage everyone to submit questions to us through Instagram or Facebook. We're going to have a weekly Ask the Vet post that goes up on Saturdays, where people can submit their questions, and then we will answer them for you on these chats. And our goal is to ultimately have live question and answer with our followers. So we would really appreciate everyone to submit their questions so that we can keep the series going.
It sounds great. How you doing, Bryanna?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Fine.
It's been a long day today.
Yes, it has.
I agree. Well, today's topic, I actually received a question about equine asthma and some of the ways it can be treated or managed. So, could you give us a little bit of insight into what causes equine asthma and then go into some of the treatment behind it?
Surely. Equine asthma, the term has evolved. The equine asthma started with inflammatory airway disease, and that starts with any kind of low-grade infection or any drop in the immune system due to the stress of the animal. When your immune system is depleted, the cellular part of the immune system is depleted, inflammation and low-grade infections can take place in the respiratory tract, and especially in racehorses, which is my forte. Horse after he races, if you scope him after a race, there's a lot of kickback in the dirt races. You'll see a lot of material in their trachea and in their pharynx, which they have to cough out. And I'm sure that leaves, in my mind, it leaves a low-grade infection in that respiratory tree. And we flush them with, years and years, we flush them with DMSO and cortisone, which as I go on in my respiratory practice, I find that's the wrong thing to do because you're just accelerating the suppression of the immune system with the cortisone. However, those low-grade inflammatory responses eventually get worse and become what we call inflammatory airway disease, where you have thickening mucosa, and it goes down to the lungs, where you'll have a lot of mucus forming. You'll have coughing and all sorts of things. Now, it does increase from there as this is mild, what we call mild asthma. They've got it categorized in different stages. Severe asthma is also a form of COPD, or heaves, as you've probably heard about. The horses with severe asthma have heaves, and they're really respiratory incompetent. They have a double lift of their abdominal cavity just to get the air expressed out of their lungs, and they have usually this is in older horses where their immune system is suppressed as well. And they can even be helped by increasing the immune system and getting it back up operating properly, because the immune system takes that inflammation and infection out of the system, and also decreases the mucus. We have to have some amount of mucus, as you know, but excess mucus is a detriment because it blocks the airway. So I don't know if that answered your question, but that's kind of a long way answer of saying this is what asthma really is. It's a
That makes sense.
and the same thing occurs in humans. My son, mostly asthmatics in humans are autoimmune. They have their cellular immune system is gone, and they're just the adaptive part of the immune system is involved with the immune globulins that are formed by the antigen antibody response. So they're very limited in the ways that they can combat asthma. So later on, we'll give you an example of how we've solved that problem.
That makes a lot of sense. I was actually thinking about how it might be related to asthma in humans, so that was a good follow-up to that question. Um, would you say that overall keeping the immune system healthy is a good way to prevent asthma from happening since there's so many immune factors to it?
Yes, that's the gold standard for both prevention and treatment. However, you also have to look at the environment that they're in. In a stall, 23 out of 24 hours, there's a lot of bad air. There's a lot of spores in there that they inhale and cause inflammation, which starts the process of inflammatory airway disease. Ammonia from the urine that they inhale is also detrimental, and so fresh air is very, very important. Keeping your barns clean, using disinfectants once in a while on the walls to kill any bacteria or other antigens that are there is very responsible thing to do as well. So general overall sanitation is very important, as well as trying to treat the cause, which is basically through the immune system.
That makes a lot of sense. I know that keeping the barn sanitary is important for a lot of different health conditions as well, so I feel like that should be easy enough for a lot of owners and trainers to remember as well to help keep their horses healthy.
Well, that's good practice no matter what disease we're looking at. Is keeping the biosecurity of the area is very important with all diseases, and keeping horses healthy as well. And everybody should be practicing that as long as they can, as well as they can.
That's good to know. I totally agree with that as well. Keeping things I'm a bit of a stickler for keeping things clean. I know for myself, since I'm not directly responsible for horse care, but for myself, I do keep all my tack and things clean regularly to help um keep it from getting dirty and keep any potential like bacteria and things from developing on it too. So that's my personal little adage to it, I guess.
And there's a lot of around the racetrack. There are also one thing that people overlook a lot is the feed tubs and the water buckets. They need to be washed out and cleaned routinely because they get scum on them, and various things contaminate the feed and the water. So that's also very important to keep those utensils clean, just like you would the utensils you're eating off of every day.
I see. I can also see how water buckets can get overlooked as part of the cleaning since we're so used to just filling them up and putting them in the stall. So that's a good thing to remember too.
Yes, for sure. And of course, keeping them clean. You want to keep your horse clean as well as your constant currying and keeping the animals clean as you can. That's all these things add up. They're little pieces of information that everybody knows and should be using. And if they do, they'll dodge some bullets once in a while. But the main thing, the gold standard, is addressing that stress that they're under from both the intense activity they're doing and also being in the stall 23 out of 24 hours, because horses are range animals. They're supposed to be out in the pasture where it's fresh air all the time, and they can roam around and graze and do those exercise on their own. Well, in a stall, they're confined and they're standing, and And consequently, it's a lot of stress on that we don't realize really happens.
Of course, of course. I don't know about you guys, but I love giving my horse a good grooming session. So knowing that grooming them also helps keep them healthy as well as clean is a good thing. And since we're on the topic of the immune system, BioPro Armor, I'm assuming, would also be a great way to help minimize the um, effects of asthma or help prevent it for horses as well.
Well, yes, indeed. Well, there are a lot of different supplements on the market, which are like vitamin D and vitamin C and a lot of different herbs and spices out there that help to, quote, increase the immune system. All they do is help give any deficiencies, replace any deficiencies that are present. BioPro Armor is a little different story. BioPro Armor is a nutraceutical, very potent nutraceutical, which has been developed. We formulated it out of about 5 different bioidentical thymic proteins. Added zinc because zinc, as it covers the mucous membrane, helps to repel any infectious process, a virus, bacteria, whatever. And we also use it's a powder form, and then we dilute that with a nanotech silver solution. So we have a threefold, we call it a triple crown effect, to combat all the different insults to the immune system. The thymic proteins are directly responsible for taking those new lymphocytes that are formed in the bone marrow. They're stem cell lymphocytes, and they are naive. They can't do anything essentially until they come in contact with this protein. When they come in contact with the protein, they become sensitized and mature into CD4 cells, CD8 cells, and natural killer cells, which are the policemen of the body. The CD4 cell is like a policeman that's patrolling your neighborhood, and he finds an invader, and so he'll call in the SWAT team, which are the CD8 cells and the natural killer cells, and say, okay, here's where the guy is, and this is where he lives. Go get him. So those cells will go in, move in, and take that virus or bacteria out of the system naturally. And this system has to be up running strong in order for the horse to be healthy. Now, when we say we got an autoimmune disease, this part of the system has been eliminated. And eliminated with cortisone injections. It's one of the main reasons around the racetrack we cause a suppression of the immune system through cortisone injections or stress, whether it be in the stall or long travel or intense training. And when that happens, the sole immunity you have is with the antigen antibody response. That if you had an insult or a vaccination, you have certain antigens being formed in the body, and the antibodies then overtake those antigens. But a new antigen in the body cannot be identified that way. It has to be identified through the cellular system, which we mentioned earlier. So BioPro Armor is on the front line to detect new infections or inflammations in the body and help the body to decrease the inflammation and get rid of the infection. The zinc is important in the immune system to help that as well. Now, the silver solution we use is a nanotech silver. It's a very potent silver solution, which is better than any antibiotic on the market, in my estimation, because it'll kill all bacteria, viruses, even cancer cells and molds and parasites without having any resistance. There's no resistance. And so the antibiotic resistance problem we have today is essentially eliminated with this product. So we have the silver, which works locally on the mucous membrane for any infection present, and the thymic proteins that we use, and the zinc work systemically throughout the body at a cellular level. So that's a pretty a short summary of what happens to the immune system. So yes, BioPro Armour is basically the only supplement nutraceutical on the market. Big Pharma has nothing that can compare with it to restore and balance the cellular immune system so these horses get back to their most healthy and optimum performance levels.
That's awesome. I really appreciate that explanation. I know sometimes it can be difficult to understand the science behind how certain supplements work, but I feel like that was a really good short explanation without getting too intricate so that more people can understand how it works. Um, I would love to try it on my future horse one day if I ever get the chance to have my own.
No problem. The immune system is a very complex system, and horses that are well, we use it 3 days a week on them routinely, and at the racetrack, we use it their entire career as a prophylactic. You can also use it if a horse has a temperature, pops a temperature. You start them immediately and use it for 3 days in a row, and that illness, whether it be a virus or bacteria, usually is very mild in passing. And generally, horses that have been on it routinely just don't get sick. If they do, it's a very mild sickness. So that's the other positive effect of BioPro Armour is not strictly a treatment process; it's more prophylactic to try and keep them healthy and prevent disease rather than treat disease. So hopefully that'll be helpful to you.
That does sound helpful. I feel like in the long run, prevention is more important because a lot of times, when we're trying to treat something that's already set in, depending on how early we catch something, it might be um, too hard to treat. So I feel like prevention is a really important factor in horse health that people can tend to overlook sometimes.
Well, it's the same with humans, and one of my mottos is, which is an age-old saying, is an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
That makes a lot of sense too. I feel like I sometimes fall into that trap as well, but one of the things I started doing last year for myself was taking zinc and vitamin C to help prevent myself from getting sick, and I feel like it's been helping. Um, I haven't gotten sick as much as I used to, so. Mhm.
Well, we'll get you started on the human aspect of BioPro Armor, and you won't get sick at all anymore.
That would be nice.
Yeah, it's a simple process. It's not complicated. We're trying to keep it as simple as possible, and that's what we're trying to do through these little ask the vet questions. We're trying to educate people as much as we can so they can understand what's out there to help their horses gain their health back and keep healthy and have the effect to be at their optimal level of performance. And incidentally, they also recover quicker from those performance levels and gain their energy back in a lot shorter period of time than if they had not get the product.
That is so true, and, I certainly appreciate your time, Dr. Warren. It's great getting to learn from you and to hear about your experience as well. I feel like it's going to be a really good resource for everybody to look back on these conversations and get to learn about all the different things that we discuss.
Well, as far as the asthma goes, which question you asked me, horses that are on it routinely. Now, if a horse has starts with a bad case of asthma, has a lot of coughing, a lot of mucus, we may give it to him every day for 2 weeks and then revert to 3 times a day. And then asthmatic horses, so-called asthmatic horses, probably would benefit by keeping the product going at least 2 to 3 days a week for the rest of their life to help keep the lungs in the most healthy condition. So asthma is controllable, and it is even preventable if you take the effort to get around some of those little traps that cause it to begin with. So hopefully, any people that have an asthmatic horse has a question, I'd love to talk with them.
All right, that sounds great. And I figured we would keep it short and sweet today. So I appreciate your time, Dr. Warren, and thank you so much for answering that question. That was a really detailed discussion about equine asthma in itself. And of course, if we have any other questions about it, I will forward them on and we can discuss them in the next one.
Thank you very much, Bryanna. Have a great evening.
You too, Dr. Warren. Thank you again.
Bye-bye.